after the video. In any event, the one thing I do want to talk to you about is sleep apnea. So I've spent a good bit of my time as a veterans advocate handling sleep apnea claims, teaching advocates how to win, and attorneys how to win sleep apnea claims for their clients, teaching you guys and you folks out there how to prove and hopefully win a sleep apnea claim. I've got a book we've written, it goes back, it's going to be backwards up on your screen because we're doing this forward-facing video, but the Sleep Apnea Field Manual, I'll pop the link up in the notes or the comments so you can pick up a copy yourself, walking you through everything you need to know about proving up a sleep apnea claim with the VA. That'll change a little bit with the new process, but that said, one thing that I see a lot, I see this a lot, and I want to talk to you about it, is I see veterans filing sleep apnea claims, and what they're arguing to the VA or to the BVA or at the Veterans Court, they're arguing that, hey, listen, I snored a lot in service. I was snoring all the time. I got my battle buddy there that used to, kick me out of bed because I was snoring so much, or kick me out of the bunk, or kick me, make me sleep on the hood of the Humvee because I was snoring so much, and get all this lay evidence talking about how much you snored. And here's the deal, folks. Snoring really doesn't matter a whole lot for sleep apnea. It really doesn't. Now, you're going to have a certain type of snoring, and that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the symptoms of sleep apnea so that you can start looking through those service medical records. You can start building the lay evidence that actually helps you document the symptoms of sleep apnea that may have existed undiagnosed in service. Snoring ain't going to cut it. Snoring by itself, I have seen more appeals denied, more claims denied, and there's nothing as a court attorney, as an appellate attorney, there's very little I can do if you're hanging your hat on evidence of snoring as proof that you had sleep apnea in service. So what symptoms are there for sleep apnea? Well, any of the three types, and remember there's three kinds of sleep apnea. There's obstructive sleep apnea, which is where your airway, something between where the air comes in your nose and where the oxygen gets into your lungs, something in that pathway is obstructing the passage of air, right? That's obstructive OSA sleep apnea. There's a second kind called central sleep apnea, and that's where something up in the brain is not telling the body to breathe properly, and it's a nerve issue, some sort of nerve transmission, a break in the nerves, and it's some sort of neurological issue between the brain and the muscles and the components of the body that actually start and execute the breathing process that's not working properly, and as a result you're not getting oxygen in. That's called central CSA sleep apnea. And then there's complex, which is complex. It's pretty much something that presents as obstructive or presents as central, and then with treatment shifts to the other or appears more of the other. And then there's a fourth kind out there that's really very new and really isn't an official diagnosis. I'm not going to talk about it. But in any of those types of sleep apnea, the number one symptom is this certain type of snoring, and it's actually not really snoring, it's stopping breathing. And so if you know somebody that has sleep apnea, I encourage you, just if you want to see what it looks like from an outside perspective, watch somebody with sleep apnea and that does not have a CPAP or some sort of breathing assistive device try to breathe. What you'll see is they'll stop breathing, and then all of a sudden, after what seems like an interminably long period of time, they'll just start gasping for air. And I'm not going to make the sounds here, but you get the idea. And a lot of times in the process of doing that, the person will wake up. Well, that's called an apnea event, and that's where something has stopped the body from breathing. You have stopped breathing while you're sleeping. That's what sleep apnea is. You stop breathing while you're sleeping. So snoring, snoring could be anything. Snoring could be, you could have a cold and snore. You could have heavy smokers snore a lot because they've got some, buildup on their air pipes and lungs. Air pipes is actually medical terminology, right? Official medical terminology, but it's not. I'm just being silly. But there's a lot of reasons you could snore. Snoring could simply be the sleep position that you're sleeping in. And so if you're hanging your hat on evidence of snoring alone in service as evidence that you had sleep apnea, you're probably going to lose your claim. What you need to really dial into that sleep breathing issue, that you stop breathing, and that lay evidence needs to show that there's somebody that observed you. Maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your significant other, maybe it's your battle buddy, maybe it's somebody that shared a bunk with you on a submarine or whatever the case may be, that was aware when you were sleeping that you would stop breathing. That's the sort of evidence you need. There's other evidence too. So there's other symptoms of sleep apnea, and some of the more common ones. You wake up in the morning and you feel dehydrated in your mouth, and you've got throbbing headaches, and those headaches are usually in the same place. You've got you're falling asleep during the day. You wake up in the middle of the night for no good reason, right? You just wake up and you don't remember why. I will tell you that some people have sleep apnea so bad that they wake up and they actually experience and feel the actual apnea event. The BVA will tell you that's not possible, that you can't observe yourself stopping breathing while you're sleeping, and I call horse shit on that. But in any event, that finding is getting rarer and rarer as we get word out there. But in any event, the key thing I want to talk about, and you can learn more, pick up the book. It's available as an ebook on the Veterans Law blog. Sometime here in the next 3 to 4 months, we're going to be releasing a training video on sleep apnea. You can learn how to actually prove up your claim. This isn't the point that I'm trying to make here, is how to prove a claim. What I'm trying to suggest is that we really need, as veterans with sleep apnea claims, we need to step back and make sure that our only argument for sleep apnea in service is something more than just snoring, because snoring alone does not cut it. So I want to get that word out. I've seen a huge increase, a huge spike in the number of BVA decisions that I'm seeing, and claims that I'm reviewing, denied claims, where that's all the veteran says is, I snored, I've got sleep apnea, they're related. And that's not true. That's not enough. It's not going to get you there.